Gajraj Swamigal questioned, why are we born on earth? So, Sage Agastya says, what a question. Creation and birth are respected as God's play. The soul that comes from the Absolute is pure. It is known as Satchit Ananda by everyone. That soul is hidden in the body, which has the five elements and senses. The soul attempts to free itself from the confines of the body. That is why the soul desires to walk on the righteous path and employ the body, mind, and senses in pure, righteous, and clean actions alone. That which is between the body and the soul is the mind. It is that which makes the physical body transgress by walking on the path of unrighteousness. The karmic fruit of these wrong actions get attached to the soul. So the soul creates the opportunity for rebirth to get rid of these bad karmas. I tell you, rebirth is only the desire of the soul, not the will of Absolute, as some say.
This is so important. So we're going to talk about it. Usually, everybody says, oh, why was I born? God, why did you create me? But it is, Appa Agastya says, it is the desire of the soul to be reborn that brings us back. So there are two things that bring us back. One is the desires, another is our karmas. So he's saying the soul in itself is pure, which we all know because we all emanate from that one Brahman. But as we, live life, there are times when we transgress against ourselves, a family, a community. We do things which are not righteous. So because of that, we acquire karmas. And because of that, the soul knows that it cannot return to the absolute unless it becomes pure again. And that is why it desires to be reborn. That's what Appa is saying.
Yeah, that explains why, we have to be pure and be righteous. Only then we will not have the next janma.
That is true. It is a process because we can't just change overnight, but it's each day, each time, every thought, watching the actions, and trying, even if we fail, not losing faith and continuing. And Sister Hema, thank you for joining, and also Sister Veena and Dipti, if you have anything you would like to add, you're most welcome to add it anytime.
Ma'am, I feel that it is very difficult to that righteous path. We don't know what is righteous, what is the definition. There is no scope for this righteous.
Dharma. What feels right? Okay, let us just take the very basics. We know the six sins, like we know lying is wrong, greed is wrong, lust is wrong, stealing something is wrong, anger is wrong. All these things that are negative is adharma. Or very basically, if we take it, if what we do affects somebody else or ourselves in a negative way, that is adharma. So if we look at all our epics, whether it is Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas, we learn the lessons of how to live a righteous life. So the basic thing is, let's watch our thoughts, because thoughts influence our words and actions. And if we get angry, if we want to hurt somebody, if we are jealous of somebody, if we are greedy about something, if we lust for something, then we know that we are not walking on the path of dharma. Anything that internally feels good, which gives you pure joy, that is righteousness. Helping others, doing the right thing, fulfilling our duties, doing what we need to do in different stages of life. We're born, we have to start learning as children, doing our best to do that, and not hurting anybody else. Not hurting anybody else also includes animals and the world around us. Being as good as possible to the extent we can each day and trying to be better. That would be righteousness.
Yeah. So, to continue, that drop of water in the rain that forms in the clouds comes down and assumes different forms like the stream, river, and finally the ocean. Jumps, overflows, roars, mixes with the sand, and gathers all the bad and the good things that are on its way into itself, and finally becomes one with the ocean. Just as a man finally understands his true purpose, the moment the drop realizes that its destination is not the earth, it turns into vapor and returns to become one with the clouds again. In the same way, it is the nature of the soul when it takes birth in human form to struggle through life, age, and die, and after that leave the physical body, look upwards, and proceed. To summarize, the soul that comes out of the supreme power is born on the earth and for some time commits good and bad actions, and finally leaving even that idea of differentiation between good and bad behind, desires to return to that place whence it came. This is the nature of Atman, the soul.
Which is so very true. We go through life, and as we go through life, we accumulate good and bad karmas. But there is always, if you notice, in each one of us, there is a small grain of dissatisfaction. No matter how rich people are, no matter how powerful they are, how famous they are, there's always something that doesn't seem to be fulfilled. And at a very basic level, it could be, somebody buys a small car, they want a bigger car, a bigger home. But that is all still on the, very material level. But as we progress, we realize that we may get everything, but we're still not happy because the true nature of the soul is constantly reminding us that this is not where we should be. This physical life, going through the stuff we're going through, the suffering, that is not the nature of the soul, because the soul is pure bliss. So the soul keeps, reminding us we need to go back. We need to realize what we are. And that is what Appa is talking about. We go through many births, we go through the good and bad karmas, we accumulate, and as we accumulate, we try to get rid of the bad karmas. But there comes a time when you're on the spiritual path, you even forget or even begin to realize there really is no good or bad. And that is a very high level in the spiritual progress, because that is when you realize human being is born on the earth to experience, to understand, to learn, and then to return. So that doesn't mean that we can say, oh, since nothing is good and bad, I can go steal or I can do that. Because all that will continue to give us suffering, continue to keep us bound to the earth plane, and we do not want to do that. The final desire of the soul is to return to its pure self, which is pure love and pure bliss.
I liked this sentence which says, just as a man finally understands his true purpose, the moment the drop realizes that its destination is not the earth, it turns into vapor and returns to become one with the clouds again. So I think that is what realization is all about.
Absolutely. And for many of us, because our mind has, we are so reliant on the mind, And what we see, our senses and the mind keep us so occupied with the life we are currently living, it becomes hard for us to get to that point of realization. But it can be that quick. The moment we finally realize what we are, we no longer are here. But again, you cannot look at it like this. Oh, somebody like Ramana Maharshi was a realized soul. Why was he still here? It is being here with the knowledge that we are divine. And that is what we are learning through Vazhipaadu.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more in it.
Yeah, I mean,
we can go on and on, and
Yeah.
like
that
yes.
is, in fact, if we have some more advanced spiritual people who can actually guide us through all this, we can read this and give much more interpretations. But we are doing our best, learning from each other as we read.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes maybe a layer of the veil that covers our eyes is lifted. The more you read, the more those layers of ignorance is removed.
Yes. And this is a living book, and that's what I call it, a living book, because Agastya's energy is flowing through it. We can own it's the capacity of the cup determines how much water it can hold. So at this point, we're all small cups. We are holding only what we can, which is we're basically learning just whatever we can understand from the initial reading. But as we read and as we understand, we come back and read again. And as we do a sadhana, the layers are lifted and we begin to understand the deeper and deeper meanings.
Yes, true. So moving on, we now come to rebirth. Sage Agastya says, man is reborn to experience that which he had not been able to experience in his previous life, to accomplish that which he couldn't accomplish in a state where he is not able to see the blessed feet of God. Aside from this, he takes birth to complete what he needs to complete, gain what he needs to gain, and accomplish what he needs to accomplish.
So that again is very important. If we are born, he says, if we the hidden meaning behind this, or the whole implication of this particular paragraph is, we need to do our duty. Once again, answering Sister Hema's question to the extent that I know, if dharma is fulfilling our duties as a mother, as a father, as a child, as brother, as a sister, as somebody in the community. So unless we can complete what we need to complete, if we have a purpose, each one of us has a purpose, we need to know the purpose and do that. Gain the knowledge that we need to gain to progress and accomplish everything that we need to accomplish. We cannot progress. All that needs to be taken care of. Spirituality is not just sitting in meditation and saying, okay, I am going to meditate and I'm going to go see God. It is the whole life becomes sadhana. Spirituality is a way of life. It is not just confined to the 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 1 hour or 3 hours that we sit in meditation or pray to God. It is living in dharma. And that is one of the main things that Appa keeps saying in Vazhipaadu. Righteousness is the basic, it's a foundation of dharma, of a spiritual path. Dharma is the foundation of the spiritual path. Without dharma, there is no wisdom. But to understand something, to know that something is wrong, it's when we do something wrong and then we understand it, then that becomes another stepping stone towards progress in spiritual life. So if we do something wrong, we shouldn't just beat ourselves up and constantly, go back to, oh, I did something wrong. We need to know, okay, I did something wrong. So I know that I did something wrong. That itself becomes important. And then how can we change that? So when we are faced with the same situation, if we change our attitude, if we change how we react, that will help us progress.
Thank you, Anu. Moving on, a honeybee that...
Say something.
Yeah.
See, even when we hit a mosquito, it bites me. By impulse, we hit it. Then after I realize, why I hit this one, and it died. Now whether this is dharma or not.
Okay, I have to tell you this. My guru is Yogananda, but Appa Agastya is my father, Appa. So, and Appa Agastya has always said that, for me, my guru is Yogananda. So my guru in the autobiography of a yogi says, one day he was sitting with his guru, and his mosquito was biting him, and he wanted to kill the mosquito. So his guru Yukteswar says, "Your very thought you've already killed the mosquito. So what do we do? Simple thing like this, okay? We do not want to take a life. We can do something very practical. We can put, mosquito spray, or do something, have something that will dispel them from coming towards us, or repel them. Or at a very higher level, we can talk to them. And I again speak this through experience. For a very short period, I did have this experience. Say, brother mosquito, sister mosquito, don't bite me. And believe me, if our intent is really pure and we do say that with full love, and I know people will laugh when they hear this, they will not bite you. The whole universe will respond to you. That is the power you have as a jivatma, the drop of the Paramatma. It is possible. I have experienced it a very short time, but I did. But it's not possible for all of us. So until we get to that level, we need to do what we can to prevent from hurting anything, even a mosquito.
Yes, Appa.
Yeah. So moving on, a honeybee that goes in search of a flower dies getting caught in the spider's web that is on its way, unable to accomplish what it set out to do. Another bee, without getting caught in the web, finds an alternate route, accomplishes what it needs to accomplish, and returns to the place it came from because of the fruit of its good actions. In the same way, man gets caught in unnecessary webs of illusion that are avoidable in several lives, and struggling becomes food for the spider.
So now this is the spider here, if you think about it, is Maya, illusion. The way Appa Agastya is saying is the entire creation of what we are experiencing is the illusion, because the true nature of the soul is beyond all this. I know people can argue, oh, I have a physical body, I feel pain and I feel this, but the soul is beyond all this. The soul at this point has a covering of the body, so we are going through all this because we are still, caught in this web of the spider, which is the Maya. And until we can start, avoiding these things, like the bee which does not get caught in the web, avoid all the unnecessary tangles of human life. We continue to be caught in the web, continue to struggle, or each time we are given a chance. And life is the greatest lesson, because this is where, living in the midst of society, going through all the challenges we go through, we can actually understand the lessons of life. Make the choices. Making the choices is the most important thing here. We could make choices to, if you're given a opportunity to, so nobody's around, I can steal this. But if you say, hey, but that's not mine, I'm not going to touch it, and I walk away, I'm already walking away from that particular part of the way. So we can make informed choices based on understanding that until we get to the state where we can convert this physical body, this mind, and this soul, and live like the divine beings we are, in righteousness, in love, and and also project and give those divine qualities out to all those people we meet, we will continue to be caught in the web of illusion. So we need to be, he says, like the bee which sees the problems, avoids it, and tries to reaches its destination.
Yeah. So to continue, that is why God creates the circumstances for man to take birth again. That is why each man must keep what he wants to accomplish in mind and keep that as a goal to go forward in life. While proceeding in this way, some may have to free themselves from some troubles in life that occur like the web of the spider. Hence, man must follow the path of righteousness in life, accomplishing everything with honesty and then taking the experiences that he is undergoing as the blessings of God and experiencing them properly. Keeping the mind determined, must continue on this path and making progress achieve his goals.
So the gist of this is, again, it can be put into one simple word: good. As long as we are good, he says we have to be good in order to progress in spiritual life and accomplish what we need to accomplish. Because every time we transgress, we are not good, we are accumulating karma. And to get rid of that karma, God helps us come back, creates the circumstances so we can come back to this earth and go through the effect of the karma and then get rid of it and keep moving. But how many times do we want to come back? How many times do we want to repeat a mistake? Can we learn from it? So simply, if we can think, okay, I want to be good, I will talk good. And what Gandhiji says, see no evil, hear no evil, talk no evil. Basic things. How many times haven't we caught ourselves talking about others? I do it, even now. So we all have a lot to learn and accomplish as we go forward in this spiritual path.
Yeah, very true, Anna, very true. So, the next chapter is Purpose of Life. The question that Gajraj Swamigal had is, what is the purpose of life? Why do we live? And this question was in his mind. He prayed in his mind. Bowing to the loving Ganapati, bowing to Divine Mother, I am requesting an appropriate response regarding life and living for the sake of the world. This is what Gajraj Swamigal prayed. It is an undeniable fact that man is born on this earth. Yet, why are we? Excuse me. Yet, why are we born? What are our duties? I request you to remove this veil and give us light that can be understood by all with your grace. So Sage Agastya replies, you are asking a question that will bring light to the people of the world. First, reflect on who you are. Man is made up of the physical body and the astral body comprising of intellect and senses that surround the soul. So does you indicate your body, your mind, or your soul? Good question. When you gain true knowledge that you are not the body nor the mind, then you will realize that you are the soul. The goal of the soul is to return to the place it has come from. However, Maya conceals this knowledge for some time in some people and for some lifetimes in others. It is only when the person reaches self-realization does he realize that he is but a soul. The moment the soul realizes its true nature, it yearns to return to the Supreme.
Now, how many of us are guilty of saying, God, why did you create me? I didn't ask you to create me. Why? Especially when we're suffering, Oh, you're a cruel God. You're just watching us and you're laughing at what's going on with us. I've heard all this. I've even said these things when in my own life, Why? Why did you create me? We must remember it is we who created the circumstances that we are suffering right now. We are the ones who are going through, the reason why we are going through each trouble that we are going through at every, facet of our life. Because we have set in motion what we are suffering right now or going through right now. So until we accept the fact that it is I who have done this, I have created the circumstances that we have actually, um, set into motion the pain that it is bringing us, we cannot progress. So we need to first understand that, stop blaming everybody around us and God for what is going on with us, and start taking responsibility for our own actions, and try not to create more karma or more suffering by what we do today. So we are almost coming to the end of the free session. So once again, I request everybody to do your meditation based on what you have learned, and remember a few things. And if you already are a meditator, you already have some ways you're doing it, some techniques, pranayama and the postures. If you are not, some basic things. And remember, I am not a guru. None of us here are gurus. We are just helping each other learn from Vazhipaadu. Always meditate in the same place, because it creates vibrations that helps us get faster into a more meditative phase as we progress, as we continue to do our sadhana every day. And always sit straight, whether you're sitting, cross-legged or sitting on a chair. Be comfortable, but the spine has to be straight so that the energy, and Appa Agastya explains this in Purpose of Life and other books later. We will talk about it. Moves from Kundalini to the Sahasrara. And even if you cannot do any of these things, if you don't understand the chakras, remember one thing you're going to learn as you sit down and start meditating is watch your breath. So you're learning to sit still, you're learning to watch your breath. You can do these two things. You're already progressing, because as you're doing these two things, your senses will start, forgetting the outside and coming into your own self. And that is where we want to go. We withdraw our senses, pratyahara. So if you don't know any other type of meditation, then just pray to Appa Agastya, sit straight, chant Om, and just watch your incoming and outgoing breath. You don't have to regulate it. In the beginning, just watch it. And time will come when you will progress naturally. But for now, if anybody wants to chant something, you can. Sister Hema or Sister Sumati, Deepthi, anybody would like to chant? Okay, I'll go ahead and chant, sit straight, and then continue your meditation in your own homes. Om Shri Agasthiyar Mahamuni Prabhuve Namaha. Om Shri Agasthiyar Mahamuni Prabhuve Namaha. Om Shri Agasthiyar Mahamuni Prabhuve Namaha.